takes third. Daniel's Magic is fifth, but only 4 lengths off the lead and well spotted. It's a gap of 5 to Castle Layoc, Irideo, and Mission Beach. Continuing down the hill, and it's Buchdahl leading the way by a half length. Took charge in second. Agency 3 deep. Sorrento Sky in fourth. Daniel's Magic inching up a closer fifth on the outside, now in fourth, just 3 lengths off the lead. It's another 3 back to Castle Layoc, who's at the back of the field with Mission Beach. And on the inside, Irideo there at the top of the stretch. And Buchdahl trying to shake loose. Sorrento Sky gets out with a perfect trip, and he's coming swiftly. Center of the course, Castle Layoc is bearing down too, but it is Sorrento Sky doing the best work close to home. Fighting back is Buchdahl. It's Sorrento Sky, Buchdahl, Sorrento Sky, another for Kimura. Buchdahl was second. Castle Layoc third. Irideo rallied belatedly for fourth. We're in the gate. And they're off. Why Behave is going to battle for the early lead. Wrong Turn Cupid's a little bit quicker. These two speed 3 lengths clear. Bella Vienna, Pink Cap on the outside, and Discrepancy is down at the rail. They're followed by Gray Frost, 5th and 7 off the leaders. The 2 trailers, Dance Kid and Awesome Taylor, is at the back. It's Wrong Turn Cupid past the half-mile pole, leading 3/4 of a length. Why Behave trying to move in from second. Discrepancy 3 deep. Bella Vienna widest of all. A gap of 5 to Gray Frost, racing well off the rail. Awesome Taylor and Dance Kid. Less than 3/8 of a mile to go now, and it's Wrong Turn Cupid holding on to the lead. Has it by a length and a half with a 1/4 of a mile to go. Discrepancy now moves to engage boldly. Going very wide is Discrepancy right up to Wrong Turn Cupid, but Discrepancy is able to go on to lead by 2. Suddenly, Wrong Turn Cupid could not keep pace. Awesome Taylor coming through along the inside, trying to get into second with a 16th to go. It's Discrepancy well clear, and Discrepancy will be a very prompt favorite to kick off the pick 6. Discrepancy wins it by 3.5. Second to Why Behave. Awesome Taylor third. Dance Kid fourth. They're in the gate. And they're off. Rostaman Vibe in the center of the course out alertly. So is Belmont Bill. Captain Chuchi's on the outside. Baldoro is up close too as Belmont Bill sprints clear on the front end. So it's Belmont Bill, Captain Chuchi's, and Baldoro 1, 2, 3 moving into the first turn. Just in behind them comes Duran on the inside of Rostaman Vibe, who broke on top but now 6 lengths off the leaders. Big Juanito is next, racing just in front of One of These Days. They're followed by 6 Magpies. Neshoba's Joy just went by that one, and Agatino is at the back, at least 15 lengths off the pace being set by Belmont Bill, who has it by a length, pursued closely by Captain Chuchi's, who's now a length and a half back second. 3 more back to Baldoro by himself in third, and Rostaman Vibe is in fourth. Then comes Durant, racing inside One of These Days with a half-mile left to go. Neshoba's Joy joins them 3 deep. Big Juanito still on hold in front of Agatino, and 6 Magpies. Rounding the turn, Belmont Bill still there a length. Captain Chuchi's closing in from second. 3 more, Baldoro third, and Rostaman Vibe is in fourth. Then Neshoba's Joy fifth, 6 lengths off the lead. One of These Days between horses and Duran. They're at the top of the stretch, and Captain Chuchi's collars Belmont Bill. Baldoro, Rostaman Vibe is bearing down in the center. Rostaman Vibe, Baldoro getting to the front running. Captain Chuchi's, who keeps digging. Captain Chuchi's, Rostaman Vibe. Captain Chuchi's, Rostaman Vibe. Captain Chuchi's, how game was he? Fought them off. Baldoro's in a photo with Rostaman Vibe behind that between Belmont Bill and Big Juanito. We're in the gate. And they're off. Spirit Rules, very quick out of the gate. Toulouse Detra on the outside. Here's Guitar Girl coming through right along the rail and running super in between. So it's a contested battle for them virtually across the track. Then Gift of Time and Roses and Chrome is pretty much jogging at the back of the field. They pass the half-mile pole, and Toulouse Detra goes up to take the lead. Guitar Girl running super, followed by Spirit Rules, now fourth. Joined four wide by Gift of Time, as Toulouse Detra has opened up a three-length lead. Guitar Girl is in second. Running super between horses, Spirit Rules outside of them, and Gift of Time covering the most real estate. They're a quarter of a mile from home, and Toulouse Detra has built up a commanding lead. It's 5 at the top of the stretch. Spirit Rules takes up the chase, as does Guitar Girl at the rail. In the final furlong, Toulouse Detra still clear with an insurmountable lead. Another, that's number 3 for Kazushi Kimura. This time, Toulouse Detra gives Papa Padromo another. Second to Guitar Girl, then Spirit Rules and Running Super. We're in the gate. And they're off in the Swing Time Stakes. Queen of the Mud is very fast away from the gate. Royal Charter, Moment's Pleasure is up close. Now the outside runners join the party. It's Ankira just in front now with Gypsy Woman, and Miss Lizzie is taking a hold of just behind the top pair. Queen of the Mud, who broke beautifully, settles nicely in fourth along the rail. Followed by Moment's Pleasure, and Royal Charter is sixth at the rail, 5 lengths off the lead. 4 clear of Lakota Spirit. Queen's Command is second to last, and another 2 to your one there. Onto the backstretch, and it's the long shot Ankira leading the way just under a length. Gypsy Woman is a handful, tugging very hard to go after this long shot leader, Miss Lizzie. In the clear, on the outside, a Queen of the Mud with Moment's Pleasure in between those two, on hold past the half-mile pole. Down at the rail, Royal Charter with Queen's Command next. A length and a half back to your one. They're inching up outside Lakota Spirit. Fairly compact into the far turn. Ankira, Gypsy Woman are 1-2. Miss Lizzie is making a 3-wide bid after them. And on the far outside, Queen's Command makes it 4 across the course. Moment's Pleasure, Queen of the Mud, and looking for a racing spot. Your one there is underway, swinging to the extreme outside with some nice momentum too. Here comes your one there in the center of the course with a furlong left to go. And there's room now for Queen of the Mud. Queen of the Mud got through, has to hold off your one there, who's storming into second. Queen of the Mud and Juan Hernandez got the jump and traveled well throughout to win the Swing Time Stakes. A stellar rally from your one there second. Lakota Spirit finished with good energy third. Miss Lizzie fourth. The Swing Time Stakes in 2011 aboard All-Star Heart for Hall of Famer Ron McAnally. It's official. 8th race starts the $5 late double back. Cano for the win. Freedom's Not Free. And they're off. Day and Age goes out for the early lead, joined by Cano for the win, along with Brother Tony. And on the outside, rushing right up to take the lead is Dr. Ruben M. So it will be Dr. Ruben M clearing off to lead it by 2. Day and Age, Brother Tony in between horses, and Freedom's Not Free, 3 deep, takes second. Then comes Tab Walker on the inside of Cano for the win, who's 5 off the lead. The 2 trailers, Rank and Zabo. They move on to the backstretch behind Dr. Ruben M. Leading the way to about a length and a half to Freedom's Not Free. Down at the rail, it's Day and Age, Brother Tony between rivals, and Cano for the win outside of that pair. 4 lengths off the lead. It's 2 more to Rank, Tab Walker, and Zabo hard ridden at the back, coming to the half-mile pole, where Dr. Ruben M controlling the race. Has it by 2.5 lengths into the far turn. Day and Age, Kimura getting busy along the inside, trying to get after this front runner who's had a soft journey throughout and takes them into the far turn with a 2-length lead. It is Dr. Ruben M. still in charge. The others getting further away. It's a 4-length lead. Day and Age. Now Rank makes a bid while caught 4 wide. Freedom's Not Free is the first to drop out of it. They turn for home. And Dr. Ruben M. clear by 5. Rank on the outside. Day and Age at the rail and Brother Tony in between. They're coming to the 16th pole. Dr. Ruben M. 4-length lead. Rank is trying his best and is closing ground late. It is Dr. Ruben M. Rank getting closer, but out of time. Dr. Ruben M. Wire to wire. Rank a strong second. Brother Tony and Day and Age. Restless behavior out of Weekend. And they're off. Smooth start. Tiger in My Tank is going out for the early lead. Takes 3, is up close, as is Lord Tripping. And on the far outside, Moon Ice. Don't Fight the Fed is just behind the leader. In fact, just 3/4 of a length off, moving in between horses. And now takes 3, guides over toward the rail to be in the 5th spot. It's another 2 back to Weekend. Capo Luigi is in between horses. And Ferrariano outside of that pair, 7 off the lead. Another 3 to Big George, racing inside of Brazenly, and 4 more lengths to the trailer, Dazzle the Command. 15 lengths or so front to back. Tiger in My Tank is the pace setter. Leads the way by 2. Lord Tripping is in second. At the rail, Don't Fight the Fed, breezing along comfortably in third. Then comes Moon Ice fourth as they head to the 3/8 pole. Ferrariano is next, brazenly trying to make an early bid while 4 deep all the way up to take the 4th spot around the far turn. Capo Luigi is next. Down on the inside, takes 3, has 5 lengths to make up. They're followed by Weekend. Big George racing in between horses as the field turns for home. Outside of them, Dazzle the Command lining up at the top of the stretch. Moon Ice the Gray, one of them down on the inside. Weekend has gotten a nice split, and Weekend comes for the lead in between those two. Don't Fight the Fed, and they're joined 4 wide by Takes 3. It's Weekend just in front, close to home. Weekend pulls it off and triggers a carryover. Takes 3, a hard charging second. Moon Ice was third, and then it was a battle for 4th among Big George. Brazenly was in that group too, and Don't Fight the Fed. The
Many of you weren't even born yet, but if you were, do you remember where you were 50 years ago today? October 18th, 1974 would have been the date. I kind of remember where I was, generally speaking, but our seminar guest today, he remembers precisely where he was at. It's my pleasure to welcome in the announcer both for Santa Anita, Hollywood Park, and Oak Tree back in the day. His name, Alan Buchdahl. Alan, happy Friday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here on a special day for you, of course. The fourth race today at Santa Anita is going to be named in your honor. Let's ask you, 50 years ago today, what do you remember about that date?
Well, I remember being very excited and
You
going
were only 18 years old. You should be excited.
I was. It was a dream come true. And, you know, it was the opportunity to go into the track announcer's booth. And the announcer at the time was right there behind me, watching over me. But I memorized the field. It was 1 1/8 miles on the turf. And I used a line that I've never used after that. The horse is coming on to win the race in the stretch. And I said, Osage River, mowing the lawn.
Now, we're always our harshest critics whenever we appear on camera. Did you have any, second doubts after you made that a marquee performance? Or, did you think you kind of nailed it?
I mean, I was happy to have had the opportunity. I thought it went fine. I was accurate in the call. I remember that. And it was just a blessing.
1974, your actually role model was Harry Henson, the track announcer over at Hollywood Park. What did you hear in his voice that wanted to make you become a track announcer?
Well, he was just the best to me as far as my enjoyment of race callers, just his way of calling a race, and Harry and I became good friends over the years. And hey, the man that you heard calling races, that's just how he talked to you in conversation.
And I came to Southern California, Alan, in 1986. So this was a little bit before my time. But during the time period when you were calling races as an 18-year-old, there were stellars or titans of our industries like Mr. Hirsch and Mr. Strube and other executives here at Oak Tree. You had the opportunity to interact with them. What were they like behind the scenes? I mean, just give us a glimpse into it, because I have no idea how to even, how you would even describe them.
To use a description Trevor would use in a race, sheer class. The names you mentioned and many others, for instance, Mr. Frankie, Jimmy Kilroe.
Talk to us a little bit more, though, about Mr. Hirsch specifically. There's stakes races named in honor of all of those gentlemen who were former executives here at Oak Tree. But talk to us about Mr. Hirsch. What was he like?
The visual picture I have is of Mr. Hirsch and a large group in the director's room here at Santa Anita after a big race, because there were times I did TV shows and interviewed the winners, and they happened to be up there for a champagne toast. So all I can say, he was just a complete gentleman to me at all times. Knew him enough to shake his hand. And honestly, Tom, as you bring me back so many years ago, such an opportunity to have met such great people in racing, and they're great people today. It's just that I'm not so actively involved.
Speaking of great people, ironically, the trainer of the very first race you called was Bobby Frankel. Did you have an opportunity to interact with Bobby much throughout the years? Pretty
much, again, having to do mostly with the TV shows. Jeff Siegel and I would talk to him from time to time. Jeff was very friendly with Bobby. So I remember one of our live TV shows. It was, I think, a big cap preview, and it was on the UHF station. And Bobby, I asked him. No, I don't want to go on the show. But I kept trying. And finally I said, Bobby, I have Charlie and the Shoe coming on the same show. He said, all right, I'll go on. Was he as gruff off camera as he appeared to be in the paddock and after races? I didn't know him that well, but, Bobby had quite the personality. I think that he had a heart of gold. You mentioned Shoe and Charlie. Let's fast forward 7 years to 1981. It's the Oak Tree Invitational. You were behind the microphone, Alan. Let's pick them up on the far turn.
John Henry's lead is just a neck. Super Moment up on the outside, closer in second. And there goes Spence Bay rallying on the extreme outside third as the Bart drops back to fourth. And they're in the stretch. John Henry and Spence Bay coming on the outside. They're right together with Spence Bay ahead in front. John Henry on the rail in second by 3. Then back to Super Moment and the Bart. Battling for the lead, nearing the wire. Spence Bay and John Henry on the rail is coming back.
Alan, as you were calling the race, did you think that John Henry would never get by Spence Bay? What were your thoughts as they were turning for home?
I can't remember, but I've called other of John Henry's races, and that's one example as to why they have a beautiful bronze of John Henry here at Santa Anita.
But they also have bronzes of more recent champions like Zenyatta. Did you have a chance to see Zenyatta run? And how would you maybe compare her historically to some of the other more talented fillies and mares?
I probably saw all of her California races, I would say. Well, she's a special talent, a very unique distaffer. How can you forget her in the walking ring with that prancing style? And what a management job by trainer John Sheriffs. She's one of the ones, I think that racing fans would have loved to have seen a matchup with Rachel Alexandra.
I had my ticket to Oakland Park hoping that would happen, and of course it never happened. It's our loss that it didn't happen because it was certainly a good rivalry between East and West. We're walking down memory lane. We've only got a minute. Who are maybe one or two favorite horses all time?
John Henry certainly is. Some obscure horses that mattered to me as a kid include Princess Nesian.
And why is that?
Well, she was one of William Hagen Perry's great distaffers, along with Gamely. And as we were talking before the show, when you're a young person, the impressions at the racetrack are lasting. So she was just a beautiful filly.
Alan went to Hollywood High. He migrated and got his master's degree here at Santa Anita. We're going to find out who he likes on today's 8-race card, which, by the way, has two carryovers. A pick six carryover to super high five carryover. We're going to take advantage of Alan's 50 years of expertise to try and find some winners. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get any changes on today's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. Free admission, free parking, $5 margaritas, and $3 beers each Friday. Here are the early changes. The first race starts the early pick five with no program changes. In the second, scratch number 2, Gigi's Girl. Race 2, scratch number 2, the early pick 4 begins with the second. In the third race, it's the start of the $2 pick 6 on races 3 through 8. Scratch number 3, Shankadopoulos. And there's the program scratch of 5, Infamous Angel. Remember, the pick 6 has gone back to the traditional $2 ticket with a carryover of more than $47,000. Fourth race starts the all-turf pick 3 on races 4, 6, and 8. Late pick 5 also begins with race 4, which is named Happy 50th Anniversary Alan Buchdahl. In the fifth, scratch number 2, Beautiful Janet. The late pick 4 begins with race 5. Turning to the sixth, scratch number 5, Activated. In the seventh race, scratch number 4, Unbridled Vision. Late double starts with the 7th. That's a new $5 wager. And in the 8th, we offer super high 5 wagering, carryover of $9,719. Remember, the Super High Five is a $1 wager and now strictly offered on the last race of the day. Scratch number 3, Motet. Note that number 10 rather, Step It Out, will now be ridden by Armando Ayuso while drawing in. Scratch 11, Candy in the Morning. Scratch 12, Queen Berkeley. And scratch number 13, God's Favor. Enjoy your afternoon here at Santa Anita Park, where post time is 58 minutes away at 1 p.m. At this time, we go back to Quigley's Corner. His special guest today is Alan Buchdahl.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Alan Buchdahl. He's been announcer at Santa Anita, Oak Tree, as well as Hollywood Park. He's celebrating his 50-year anniversary of calling his very first race as an 18-year-old youngster. And Alan, before we take a look at today's card, I often have a favorite saying of mine that tell me you love racing without telling me you love racing. And one way I know that you love racing is you donate a lot of your hard-earned money to racing charities, including the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, also Karma. Why is that important to you to basically donate to those charities?
Well, look, I don't want to set myself up as a benefactor, but it's something that I have done in my life. And to me, it's just a privilege and an honor to contribute to charities such as the ones that you have mentioned. Everything counts. Taking care of our riders and taking care of our retired horses matters a lot.
Completely agree. Without them, the show does not go on. That's for sure. Let's carry on the show here, Alan, taking a look at today's outstanding 8-race card. As I mentioned right before I introduced Frank Miramonte, 2 carryovers today. Pick 6 carryover, $47,000 starting in race number 3, and a Super High 5 carryover, $9,000, which will come on our nightcap race number 8. We'll get to that, but first things first, race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We're going 1 mile on the turf course for $40,000 claimers. The rails today on the turf course are at 30 feet. We've got a field of 6, and the morning lane favorite, as well as the current betting choice, who we haven't seen since the summer, is number 6, Fantastic. Currently 5-2 on the tote board. Give us your thoughts on race 1, Alan.
This one I thought was about as difficult as any on the card, but I went with number 3, Enjoy It Straight, with Umberto Rispoli. He'll have inside position on the other likely front runner, 50 cent dollars. And hopefully his last race at 1 3/8 miles has Enjoy It Straight legged up for this mile distance. Ottoman Prince, number 5, my second choice on the class drop. And the connections, including first-time Victor Espinosa.
3 and 5 in race number 1. Let me ask you a follow-up question on the race, and maybe just in general, Alan. That would be, in Southern California, we place such an emphasis on early speed, and you even mentioned it in your analysis. Why do you think early speed plays so well here in Southern California and maybe is not so prominent in other parts of the country? When you think back to the East Coast as well as the Midwest, like tracks at Churchill Downs and other tracks, early speed doesn't seem to dominate back there as much as it does here. Why do you think that might be?
I wish that I had the right and definitive answer for you, Tom.
Don't we all?
I really do. But let me sum up one point, and that is particularly on the main track, hey, it's what California is known for.
They go fast early and they go fast late, right? Back east, they don't typically go as fast as we do, but certainly speed is a premium out here, and that's how a lot of handicappers handicap. It's certainly how you analyzed race number 1. Let's take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This time we are sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the main track for 2-year-old fillies. Maiden optional claiming types. Also, race 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. Scratch the 2, Gigi's Girl, leaves us with a field of 6. Ovita's Hobby from the John Sadler barn is the 9-5 morning line favorite. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Alan, I wanted to show a replay here for number 3, Helen's Revenge. She started 1 time at Los Alamitos. She ran 5 furlongs, keeping in mind today's distance is 6.5. She's going to break from post position number 5 in this replay we're going to watch and listen to Michael Rona describe the action. But one thing I want you to notice is she's going to get squeezed rather badly at the beginning by the horse who ultimately finishes second. That horse came back for Ryan Hansen to win last weekend. So certainly this has proven to be a productive race. The horse that gets disqualified at the beginning breaks from post position number 3. Helen's Revenge is going to break from post position number 5. Let's go back and watch that replay from September 20th, and you be the judge whether that might have cost Helen's Revenge a chance at victory.
Racing. Rose's Wish speeds out of gate 1. There's a bit of crowding towards the middle of the line. Iconic Memories flashing across the face of the field from the outside post, and with a wing on every hoof, this debutante dashes away. Half a mile to go. Iconic Memory, couple of lengths in front. From on the inside, Rose's Wish, who's being passed by Rapida. Rapida now moving up within a length of the front runner. Lucky Nia is fourth on the outside. Lady Lollipop has the red and black colours, one off the fence nearing the top of the stretch. Helen's Revenge scouting very wide. Venice Vibe is a long way back in the field at the top of the lane with a quarter mile to go. We're Rhythmical and She's My Flame are the last pair. Towards the eighth pole in the stretch, and Iconic Memory striding out boldly on a 2.5 length lead. Rapida second, 5 lengths clear of the rest. Lady Lollipop, Helen's Revenge, and then Venice Vibe making some late ground. But Iconic Memory has run them off their legs. Big win on debut by 3.5 from...
Alan, we heard Michael Rona say wing on every hoof as the leader went gate to wire. How do you track announcers come up with those comical, comments basically instantaneously?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and I think that I'm comical only to a point. But as I'd mentioned before, I do look at the past performances for every horse. So I have some understanding and some idea of something that I might work into the call if it's appropriate.
Well, you had to look at the PPs in order to appear in the seminar. Who do you like in race 2 and why?
I went with number 7, Ovida's Hobby. She's a $125,000 purchase. She's by the Fast Army Mule, hoping that she breaks better from the outside draw with Bays. Her last race was captured by the Del Mar debutante winner, Tenma. Number 4, 2 Bar is my second choice, shortening up for the Baffert Barn with 2 Bullet Works since raced.
I asked you who your favorite horse was earlier in the seminar. Who's your favorite jockey of all time? We had such a deep and talented colony here. Alan, who was your favorite jockey in terms of racetrack performance?
Well, it's so close. You know, the jockeys that you're thinking back to, like Bill Shoemaker, Lafitte Pinkai, and so many others, had their own individual skills. Both of those names would be at the top of my list.
I agree. Don't forget about Chris McCarron. He says, hold my beer as well. But that colony was very, very deep back in the day. Race number 3 begins the $2 pick 6, as mentioned a few times. We've got a $47,000 carryover in the pick 6. Nobody hit it on Sunday. Expectations are new money could exceed $400,000. And we kick things off sprinting 6 furlongs in the main track for 2-year-old starter optional claiming types. 2 scratches, scratch the 3 as well as the program scratch of the 5. The heavy morning line favorite, fresh off a victory, is number 6. Winds of Freedom from the Doug O'Neill barn. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Alan, another video to watch. This would be a team workout on September 29th. Let's roll that tape, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com. Winds of Freedom, I should say, is going to be down on the inside. Now, if you remember when Toby Terrell was my guest a few weeks ago, he had mentioned that there was a lot of fog in the morning. And as you can see, as the camera person continues to follow this workout going into the far turn, they're actually going to lose the horses in the fog. That's how thick the fog has been some mornings here at San Ita. It's certainly before, I should say it's after the sun has risen, but yet the fog is deep. It's going to be so deep, you're going to see that the camera person actually loses where the horses are, because you'll see the camera person pan down to the training track for a quick moment. But don't you worry, the camera person is going to pick up the horses right now back on the main track as they turn for home. And you'll easily be able to see that Winds of Freedom easily outworks this workmate, whose name is Tahoma. Tahoma is actually a comebacking 4-year-old who has a 2-year-old earned black type. So keep in mind, Winds of Freedom is a 2-year-old colt outworking a 4-year-old colt with black type already on his resume. I thought this was an outstanding workout. Jeff Siegel, whose name you mentioned earlier, Alan, made him 4-5 on the morning line. I expect him to go even lower. Do you like him as much as I do in race 3?
Yeah, I think that's the one who has the most upside, so that's my top choice. Doug O'Neill's Winds of Freedom, second choice going to the horse outside of him, Votre Sante.
Alan, we know you've been heavily involved in racing for the last 50 years. Were you ever involved in any sort of horse ownership, either individually or with a partnership?
Yeah, many times. And most recently, I had a fractional interest in Microshare. But before that, Jeff and I had some horses together. And I even campaigned 2 horses back east. So I have.
Who were your trainers that you utilized both here in Southern California and back east, if you remember?
Well, Microshare I do remember, because that's just recent. Richard Mandela. Jeff, yeah, we had a guy named Tom Bunn who was such a nice guy. Neil French, I believe he had one of the horses. And wow, it's been such a long time, but it's a great experience. It's a lot of fun, particularly if you go in with partners and friends.
Great walking down memory lane with our guest, Alan Buchdahl. Let's turn the page and take a look at race number 4. That's because if you're looking at a program, race number 4 is named in honor of our seminar guest. Happy 50th anniversary, Alan Buchdahl. And this race is 1 mile on the turf course for maiden special weight Calbred 2-year-olds. Race 4 also begins the 50-cent late pick 5, as well as the $3 all turf pick 3. We've got a field of 7. The Maury Line favorite, number 6, Call Me Sir, from the Mark Glatt barn. Another heavy favorite here at 6-5. What say you about race 4, Alan?
I selected number 1, Keep Dancin' Nick, the most experienced runner in the field. Draws the rail for Steve Miotti as Hector Barrios retains the mount and might like the stretch out. Call Me Sir, my second choice, disqualified from second last out at a mile on the turf. Glatt and Rispoli on the deserving morning line favorite.
Alan, we know you've been to a lot of big races here in Southern California, but have you ever been to a Kentucky Derby or a Breeders' Cup that's been held outside of Southern California, either as an announcer or as a racing fan?
Well, I've been to 2 Kentucky Derbies, including Seattle Slew.
Wow.
Chick Anderson was the announcer.
Wow.
He and I were close friends, and he got me up on the roof at Churchill Downs, so I was right on the finish line. I was also there for the running, I believe it was won by Gato del Sol. That's right. Breeders' Cups outside of California, only one, the second at Aqueduct. However, I have been to all of the Breeders' Cup here.
What were your impressions of Churchill Downs in the Kentucky Derby? Because you certainly saw 2 very talented horses win. Let's first talk about Seattle Slew. He's obviously a staple in terms of racing history. Were your expectations that he would win the Kentucky Derby, or did you like another horse, if you recall?
Oh, I'm sure I expected him to win. In fact, Dan Smith of Del Mar, and before that, Santa Anita, and I were on the backstretch one early morning at Churchill Downs. We were following Seattle Slew to the track, and sure enough, it wound up as a cover photo for the magazine that was called the Thoroughbred Record. So, well, we know Seattle Slew was one of the all-timers. And when you think, Tom, about his success in the breeding shed,
yes,
wow, it's hard to find comparisons.
And Gato del Sol was ridden by Eddie D, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And the California representative, I believe. That's
correct,
right.
Correct. Would you recommend people who haven't been to the Kentucky Derby to go? I always do. I've been to 4 of them. I've been fortunate enough to go to 4 of them. It's a spectacle. It's like celebrating New Year's Eve on Times Square or anything else you can think of, the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Whether you like horse racing or not, you really should go to a Kentucky Derby to see if it's right for you. Would you make the same general recommendation?
Oh, sure. I've been to Churchill a number of times, since those distant Kentucky Derbies, for the Foster and other big race days there. Now, they've certainly changed it up, with that new walking ring. But I would say, with the crowd size, probably best to organize it with a nice group.
Will we see you at Del Mar in 2 weeks from today for the Breeders' Cup?
All set. I've had my tickets for a while for both days.
Race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. Those tickets are expensive. Let's see if we can make some money to pay for them. We're going 1 mile on the main track for fillies and mares, $16,000 claiming tag. Non-winners of 2 races lifetime. Number 2, Beautiful Janet, has been declared out of the race. Number 5, In Your Life, fresh off a victory for trainer Pete Urton, is the 5-2 Maury Line favorite. The ownership group is Slam Dunk Racing. The head honcho of that group, Nick Casado, celebrates a birthday today. Will Nick be seen in the winner's circle after race 5, in your opinion?
Well, happy birthday, Mr. Asado. That's cool. Yeah, that's my selection. I chose In Your Life, the 5-horse, Slide Edge, experience of the distance, and seemed to improve in the maiden win. Looks lucky, number 3, second choice, bred for 2 turns. Good races in the only 2 starts.
Alan, what type of handicapper are you? In other words, when you crack open the racing form, assuming that you read the racing form and not some other past performances like Briss or even the Ragozin sheets, are you kind of an old school handicapper where you look at class, speed figures, trainer jockey combinations? We talked about early speed probably being one of the components of your handicapping arsenal, but how would you describe yourself as a handicapper?
I would say that I do my best when I'm on track, when I'm at the track, because looking at the horses makes a big difference to me. So I'm literally out there and looking at them in the paddock, in the walking ring, through my binoculars, sometimes warming up. So that makes a big difference to me. Otherwise, I go by a sense of things and I watch the wagering. I'm not a big gambler, but I enjoy playing the races because it's always such an interesting and compelling challenge.
Let's talk about the body language of horses, because that seems to be one of your main handicapping pieces of your toolbox. What things are you looking for? Let's dive a little bit deeper. When you're looking through binoculars or you're in the paddock looking at the horses, what type of either positive or negative attributes are you looking at to try and maybe identify a winner or a loser?
A confident attitude. That's one way I would sum it up. A horse that, you know, just looks the part and has a feeling of, I'm better than this group.
Superiority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've mentioned to you in the past, you can see that, but the more races that you observe, I think the better you become at knowing what to look for.
I completely agree. It's like shooting pool or shooting free throws in basketball.
Sure.
The more you hang out in the paddock, the better you can become, particularly if you're paying attention and taking notes of each individual horse's attributes. You'll know whether they get nervous or not nervous before a race, and you can kind of judge them after the fact to see whether that had an impact on their performance.
You are very right.
Race number 6 begins. The new wager, the $3 late pick 3 with a 15%, low 15% takeout. Also, race number 6 is named in honor of Vista Paint. This is their day at the races 2024 here at Santa Anita. They've got a crowd of about 1,500 people on track. So welcome to the races, everybody associated with Vista Paint. And race number 6, we're sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf courts. It's a starter optional claiming race. 1 scratch to 5 activated, leaves us with a field of 6. The morning line favorite is number 4, Gem Mine from the Richie Baltus barn. 8-5 on the morning line. 6 ways you can go here, Ellen. Which way are you going and why?
I'm glad you told me about that, because that was quite an amazing group coming in as I walked into Santa Anita today, and all the white trucks, and typically painters have their white trucks. That's great.
It's a fun it's a fun group, right? They bring
Really
in all
nice.
these different I don't know what you would call it, like working utensils, for lack of a better word. There's giveaways, there's raffles. They really enjoy their day at the races every year. It's once a year, every year.
Cool.
And then they support Santa Anita very proudly.
Definitely.
Who's going to win the race named in Vista Paint's honor?
I pay attention to horses that romp away to win, and that's number 7, Collect My Thoughts. I also think Collect My Thoughts will be the quickest of the quick in here. Second choice, give a good long shot look to number 2, Princess Midnight, a 4-year-old, most experienced in the field, could make some noise from off the pace on a turf course in which she won on at 47-1 previously.
7-2 in race number 6. Let's take a look at race number 7. Begins our other new wager, the $5 late daily double with a low 15% takeout as well. Race number 7, we're spreading 6 furlongs in the main track for Calbred, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. Scratch the Invader, number 4, Unbridled Vision. Leaves us with a field of 6. The morning line favorite on the bottom, number 7, Wind Ribbon, who's 5-2 on the morning line. Both Wind Ribbon and the rail horse BIG both exit the same race. And we're going to show a replay from that race, Alan. The reason why I wanted to show the replay is because you're going to see when Wind Ribbon breaks out of the gate, he completely misses the gate and he completely misses the break. He's helplessly left, and yet he's competitive as they turn for home. Meanwhile, BIG shows early speed and basically just missed by a neck to a 50-1 long shot. BIG is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 3 in this replay. Wind Ribbon, you're certainly going to notice coming out of the gate, is wearing saddlecloth number 5. So let's listen to the legendary Trevor Denman describe the action back on September 8th down at Del Mar in that 8th race that particular afternoon.
And away they go. Oh, very slow to begin here. One right at the back just can't make it out. It could have been Wind Ribbon. We'll pick it up shortly. Tiger in My Tank on the inside is going off for the early lead, and Irish Corn in the green colours shows good speed as well. Mirinda on the far side is showing good speed. Bob's Blue Moon in there, and then we drop back to BIG. They've been followed by Kerry Gold in the green colours, and then Tequila talking about 6 off these leaders. In behind that comes Kerry Gold, and Coach Cronin starting to lose ground now. In behind those two, we have Mio Bambino. And the one that was very slow to begin here was Wind Ribbon. Wind Ribbon hopelessly last. They coming towards the 3/8 pole, and Tiger in My Tank leads it by a length. BIG going after them. Tiger in My Tank, BIG. Mirinda in the orange cap is in with a shot. Tequila talking in the white cap. No more ding-dongs on the extreme outside. This one's wide open. They swing for home. Tiger in the Tank hanging on. BIG is taking him on the outside. Coming with a late run now. Coach Cronin still wide open. They come for home. Tiger in My Tank. BIG going to hit it together. Tiger in My Tank, BIG. Tiger in My Tank, beat BIG.
Alan, of both BIG and Win Ribbon, I know that you like one of those runners, but you actually like another runner to upset both of them. Talk to us about race 7.
I selected number 6, Special Club, who's back at his preferred one turn for trainer Craig Lewis with a sharp half-mile breeze since raced. I think BIG's an all right horse, lightly raced, 3-year-old, improved effort in his last with Barrios, who rides him back.
Race number 8 closes out the card, but keep in mind, race number 8 also offers $1 super high five wager. We've got a carry over $9,000 in the pool already for the super high five. And we kick things off in race 8, going 1 mile on the turf course for maiden claimers, fillies and mares, in for a $50,000 tag. Scratch the 3. However, number 10, one of the also eligible, Step It Out, will compete, make the jockey Armando Ayuso. The other also eligibles, 11, 12, and 13, will not compete. So the scratches are 3, 11, 12, and 13, with number 10 actually drawing into the body of the race. Number 1, Upcharge, taking a drop down in class for trainer Phil D'Amato, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Upcharge has had 5 starts, only finished with 1/3 so far. Alan, up to this point, give us your thoughts on the nightcap.
Well, I did select Upcharge, the one horse, and you've summed it up. She does drop in for the tag, rail draw, made up ground in her last. Now, number 9, Above All Else, with one way to go, seemingly from the outside, and that's right to the front. She might get brave on the lead. Steady work pattern for Above All Else.
Alan, it's been a treat of mine, and I'm sure a treat for the viewers to have you walk down memory lane and bring up some great recollections over the years. So thank you so much for your time and input on the seminar today. Love having you on the seminar. Enjoy your special day. We'll see you in the winner's circle for race 4, and we'll do it again sometime soon.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Frank Miramati. I appreciate it.
Go Dodgers, 2:05 or 2:08 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. A lot of action this afternoon. Super high five, pick 6 carryovers, and the Dodger game to close out the series. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Enjoy yourself, and good luck.